All right, what's up? Eric here. In this video, we are going to be going over the My Endurance Life 50-mile ultra trail training guide. If you haven't got this training guide, you can get it at my website, myendurancelife.com, or click the link below in the description, or I pinned it to the top comment too, because we are going to be following this training guide as we go through this video. And we're going to be talking about using a run hike approach through training and through your race. That is the style of ultra running that I do and that I coach. So that's what this is about. So if you want to follow along, grab that guide at myendurancelife.com or click one of the links below. And then also, this video is going to be broken up into multiple slides, so you can come back and reference it from time to time as you're going through your training. There's links in the training guide to bring you back to this video, so you don't have to like search it on YouTube or anything like that. And then also other bonus training that I provide for people who grab the training guide, like nutrition, how to use poles, and all that other stuff. I just make other videos and I attach it to it when you download it. So check it out. Anyways, let's get into the training. Couple things I want to note before we get into the actual training. And I'm not going to go through every run that we are, is prescribed, because that would be a really, really boring video. But I'm going to outline each training block, from building your base to speed workouts like improving your VO2 max, to building endurance and getting really race specific, and a couple key long run strategies and techniques that I recommend to my athletes and to you if you're training for a 50 miler. And then also like wrapping it up with like race day strategy when we go into our taper and execute the race. But before we get into that, a recommended fitness level prior to starting this 50-mile training guide is able to run or hike, like a hard hike, like putting effort into it, for at least a minimum of 2 hours. If you're coming off the 50K training guide, if you've already followed the My Endurance Life training guides, the 25K, 50K, and now you're up to the 50 miler, and you have a race coming up, you can jump right in to where you left off during your training. So with the 50K training guide, you were running 6 to 8 hours a week. Jump right into this training guide if your race is coming up soon, so you don't feel like you have to start all the way over. This is a 16-week training guide, but they also piggyback off each other from 25K all the way up to 100 miles. So that's why it's called the Trail to Ultra series, because it just works. So just follow along, and you're going to crush your races. Also, the goal for this training series is to help you build the endurance, strength, and mental resilience to complete your first ultra, or your second or third, or go further than you ever thought possible. Just before we get into it, you assume all risk. The following is for educational purposes only and is not a prescribed training plan for any particular individual. Consult your physician or healthcare professional before starting this or any other fitness program to determine if it's okay to proceed. The next slide, we're going to be going over rate and perceived effort, because we don't follow pace or miles during this training. It's all about time on feet and perceived effort or intensity. So here is the rate of perceived effort scale that I use for our training. If you need to pause the video and zoom in on it, go ahead. But again, if you download the training guides, link below, or you can go to myendurancelife.com and click on the tab that says Trail to Ultra series, or training guides, then you can grab I send it to you in an email as part of the PDF that comes with the training guides, where you can print it out or save it on your phone so you can have it for easy access. But that's it. Go over it real quick, because as we get into it, that's what we're going to be using, is rate of perceived effort instead of like pace. So again, if you are coming off of the 50K training guide, or you're already at a point in your fitness level where you've established a good base, you're running for more than 2 hours at a time, you're working up to 3 or 4 hours a week, closer to 5 hours a week, then you could probably bypass this section. But if you are starting fresh and you're just at that minimum requirement, then let's go over block one. Block one is building a base, just getting those muscles, those tendons, those ligaments, and your aerobic fitness level deep enough, like built enough to proceed into block two, which is like speed training or heart rate training, is which I like to call it, because we actually don't do like too much speed workout in my training guides, because I'm focused more on just finish the race kind of mentality, as opposed to like getting a new PR, if that makes sense. And if you're along board with that, where you just enjoy being out on the trail for hours and hours, and more enjoy the adventure more per se than getting a new time goal or anything like that, then these training guides are going to work perfect for you. So first, I like to use for block one, and this is going to stay true through the rest of the training also. I use a technique called 4-1s, where I start out walking for 1 minute and then I run for 4, and then it's just easy to keep time on your watch like that. So through all these base building runs, I use a technique called 4-1s. As you can see, like, and also like feel free to like move these days around. Again, this is just a template training guide, and even though it's a template, that it does work. I've had hundreds of athletes come through my endurance life, use these training guides, and go out and just really execute well on race day. So the one thing I do want to note though is try to uh, match your rest day up after your 2 like back-to-back long runs, Saturday, Sunday, or if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, that works for your schedule, or if it revolves, just don't go straight into, especially when we get later into the training guide, into a long run, another long run, and then into like a speed workout or hill repeat workout, right after that. Just give your body time to recover and execute, or just recover well. So also cross training and gym training. If you've already been through the other training guides, you know that I am a big proponent of cross training. As you can see, I surf and I also mountain bike. I'm not one that goes to the gym. But if you do go to the gym and you like weight training, go, by all means, do it. Use it. It's great. And I have lots of athletes who do go to the gym and weight train. But for me, again, I'm out there for the fun and the enjoyment of the sport, and going to the gym and weight training isn't my cup of tea. But if it's yours, go for it. But also, there's other forms to cross train. Like I said, mountain biking, anything low impact. So if you like, stand up paddleboarding, or even just going for another like low impact hike, that is also another form of cross training. Yoga, Pilates, all that other stuff, a spin class, like, just go for it, love it, just do what you like. So block one, all about building base, more about building routine, getting in the groove of just going out there, almost every day, and enjoying working out, being outside, and building your base. So when we get into block two, which we're going to cover next, that you are ready to like really get that heart rate pumping to broaden your overall aerobic capabilities. So right now we're building the low end. Now let's talk about building the top end. All right, let's talk about heart rate training, or VO2 max, or whatever you want to call it, speed workouts. In essence, this is heart rate training, trying to get your aerobic threshold to broaden. So block one, we worked on the low end, now we're working on the top end. And all that really does, and what it means, is what it translates to. I can try to keep this as simple as possible to understand. It's going to make our slow pace a little bit faster. So if your slow pace, your RPE 2 or 3, like your race pace for a 50 miler, is say a 12 or 13 minute mile or 14-minute mile, then this might just bump it up 30 seconds a mile. And if you are lucky, like maybe a little bit faster, might even knock a minute a mile pace off of that. And what that means is you're going to finish races faster or sooner. And if you're on the edge of not meeting cutoffs, this is going to help you avoid hitting those cutoffs. So that's why we do it, and then we do it up front in our training after we build our base up front. So when we get into block 3, which is the next block, the endurance block, which is more race specific, when we're honing it in, we still do 1 heart rate training workout per week during the endurance block just to keep it fresh. But also, we've already established, so it's like we're stacking bricks. And so we've built our base. Now we're improving our VO2 max, or our heart rate. So it's going to help pull that slow pace forward so we can finish races quicker. If you look at Tuesday, so if you're following along on Tuesday, you can also zoom in down there, that it says 20 minutes, 4-1s, RPE 6 or 7. So you can either do this as a hill repeat or an interval workout. So if you're doing it and if you need to reference the RPE chart, I emailed it to you when you downloaded the training plan, so you can pull that out, so reference it, so you know that you're hitting the right intensity levels, or you can go back after this and watch that slide again. But also just notice, like, try to stay within those ranges. Like I depicted them pretty well, or as accurate as possible, so you know how to hit it. So do a 10-minute warm up, and then if you're using hill repeats, which I recommend because running speed intervals isn't fun to me, I do all my speed work as a hill repeat, and that really helps me. I kind of get the same result. You get a high turnover, you get that heart rate up, which improves VO2 max and speed in the long run, especially for ultra running, because I don't run marathons, I don't run fast 5Ks or anything like that. So if you are more focused on a time goal and running faster, if you do road marathons and 5Ks like that, then do this as a flat road workout or a track workout. The time on feet translates the same, the intensity translates the same. So warm up for 10 minutes, and then you're going to hit it hard for 4 minutes, whether it's a hill that you run up for 4 minutes at an RPE 6 or 7, or you're on a track or a road running an interval for 4 minutes, and then back it down to a jog or a walk. Usually if you're doing a hill workout, that's when you're walking or jogging back down to the bottom, just letting your heart rate recover for a minute, and then get after it again for another 4 minutes. And you're going to rinse and repeat and do this for 20 minutes, and then just another 10-minute cool down. Warm-ups and cool downs should be an RPE 2 or 3, nothing more or nothing less than that. And then just move on through the week. And then we got a couple easy runs. And then also, as you see, we do this again at the end of the week after our long run. Long runs on Saturday. Sunday, we have another hill repeat section or interval session. Remember, I said in block 1, don't do this, but for this particular block, we do a hard workout after our long run. It just really, it helps. I'm not going to get into the science of it on this video, but it helps. And then we end this block with a hike. We also ended block 1 with a hike, which I didn't note, but we end this block with a hike. And on these hikes, we're hiking hard. We're hiking with a purpose, really going after there and pretending like we're in the race. We're in our 50-miler, 50K, or what, the race that you're training for this training program. Obviously, it's the 50-miler, but if you're going to use poles during the race, it's a great time to practice with poles. Still practice your nutrition because you're going to be out there for an hour and a half. It's a good time to like figure out your vest or your handhelds, whatever you're using during your race. Like start practice on it now. And during your hike is a great time to do it because you're not bouncing around as much as when you're jogging. So it's easier to get in and out of your pockets and shuffle through stuff and find out like, maybe I don't like my goos or my solid food on this side, I like it on this side. Or maybe I don't like to carry my phone here, I like to carry my phone here. Or switch water bottles, maybe I like my electrolytes on this side and my water on this side, or vice versa. So that's a great time to do this, is during the hikes. But again, hike hard. Try to get an average pace of say 16 or 17 minutes, with your elevation changes in there. Block 3, we're going to go over building endurance and how to like really program this training plan for your specific race. So let's get into that. All right, block 3, here we go. So everything except for the Tuesday workouts, or if you shuffle it around, whatever day you're going to be doing the interval session on, the 4 ones with an RP of 6, 7. Now they're 30 minutes long. So I still recommend hill repeats. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. That's what I use. That's what I recommend my athletes who are out there just to finish the race to do. If you have a specific time goal, if you're trying to get a 12-hour 50-mile or a 10-hour 50-miler, where time is like your priority, then use this as a track workout or a road run where you can really nail those intervals and pick up that pace. So other than that, this block is focused on getting specific for your race. And every run from here on out, if you have the capability to do it, I recommend finding the average elevation of your race and applying it to these runs. So for instance, if your 50-miler has an average elevation of, or has a total elevation of 5,000 feet. We're just going to use that as an example for simple math. That's an average of 100 feet per mile. If it's above that, fine. If it's below that, fine. Just do the math on your race. So look it up. If you don't know it, email the race director and they'll be happy to give you like a past Strava or Garmin like GPX where it'll tell you, the total elevation for that race. So we're going to use 100 feet per mile as average as an example for this. So when you go out on your Thursday run, which is 45 minutes at RPE 2.3, then you're going to try to find a trail or road section around you that has an average elevation of 100 feet per mile, and you're going to go out and you're jog it at that intensity. Saturdays and Sundays, by all means, please do this. If you can't find it during the week, try to make your long runs on Saturdays and Sundays your average foot per mile. If you go a little bit over on the average, that's fine. The race I'm training for right now as I make this video is the Mugion Monster 100. Has an average elevation of around 160 feet per mile. The hills that I run in every day have an average elevation of 190 to 205 feet per mile, depending on the loop that I do. So just it's okay that I go a little bit over. At the end of the week, what we're looking for is about 70% when we get into peak training. So like around weeks, 12, 13, that we're trying to hit at least 70% of the total elevation of the race. So if we'll use a 100-mile race as an example just for easy math. So if the 100-mile race that you're training for or will be training for has a total of 10,000 feet, then during that week, you want to try to hit 7,000 feet minimum during your training. So just, do it 70% of whatever race you're training for this 50-mile program. And during that total week, you want to try to hit a minimum of that total elevation. If you go over, great. This is just minimum recommendations. So like my biggest weeks going forward right now in my training, that I'm hitting 15 or 16,000 feet a week. So that's 100% of the race. It's what I can handle at the moment with my workload and my training volume and still being present for my family. But again, it lets me recover and get after it again next week without getting burnout. That's the focus, is trying, finding that happy medium of doing enough, not doing too much so you don't get burnout and you still stay excited about training. Okay, one thing I want to note during this is at least 1 or 2 times during this training on your long runs, try to do a loop or an out and back that's about 5 or 6 miles long. That seems to be like the average distance between aid stations, and do it for your 3 hours or your 4 hours or your 5 hours for that training run. Also, if you can, try to work in that average elevation too. Also, but what we do is we set up a fake aid station. And one of these mock training runs, it will do solid food, and then the next one will do race nutrition, and then the next time, if you do it 3 times, we'll mix it up between race nutrition and solid foods. And then also trying different electrolytes if you don't have it dialed. I use Rimasalt Relights. I also, on that bonus, when you download this, if you scan that code or tap this link, it's available in PDF, or you can save it on your phone. It takes you to bonus training. I also have a link in there for Rimasalt Relight, where you get 15% off. That's the electrolyte that I use for my races and for my training, and I love it. It is just my go-to. So if you haven't tried it, try it. If not, like, there's tons of other products out there that work fantastic. But mix it up. This during training is where you dial in your nutrition, doing these strategic training runs where you're running an out and back or a loop and hitting the same aid station, your car or a park bench or a trailhead where you can stash a cooler and come back to it. Not only do you get efficient at aid stations in and outs, but you also get to test multiple nutrition products and foods that might help you, save you during the race. Pickles, sushi, ginger, Coke, like all this other stuff that you might see at aid stations that you are kind of scared to try on race day. Do it now. That's what it's for. So with that being said, let's get into the last and final block: taper and race strategy. So with taper, first thing I like to say is, like, all the hay's in the barn. What the taper's for is there just to like keep the jitters out, and you're not going to build any fitness during taper. You're also not going to lose any fitness during taper too. So I think that is really helpful for some people who might think that they haven't done enough. You can't this isn't a test for school. You can't cram for it at the very end and think it's going to help you on race day. So everything that you've done so far is all your studying and everything that you've built through. The only thing that you can do during taper is maybe try some last minute nutrition changes, or some gear selections. If you change poles or you want to change vests or something, this is a great time to do it during taper. But what I like to do during taper is, one, focus on sleep, focus on eating super healthy. I don't eat out at all during my taper. Don't drive through anywhere, especially when those cravings comes, because they will come. Like In-N-Out, like that sounds amazing to me. Taco Bell, I love Taco Bell, but during my taper, I stay away from it. So my body is like as ready to go leading up to the race as possible. Also, one thing that I like to do during my taper that I tend to put off, and I'm very bad at this, is the logistics of the race, where it is, how you're going to get there, if you need a camp, if you need to get a hotel, if you're going to drive there in the morning, where's race day pickup, or packet pickup, do you need to do it the night before, is it available the morning of? That's all stuff that I tend to figure out during my taper, even because I didn't do it earlier. If you did it earlier, like, more kudos to you, like, you're way better than me. But if you are like me and you put it off to the very last minute, do it now during taper, so you're not trying to figure out the night before the race, like, oh, where am I going in the morning, how long of a drive is it, and how do I get my bib? I did that one time and realized that I had a 3-hour drive ahead of me before a 6 a.m. race start. Had to leave my house at 2 in the morning, so I knew I could get there in time to get my bib and be ready to race. And it just turned into a really, really long day, because that 3-hour drive turned into like a 4-hour drive on the way home, which was even worse after running a 50K. Luckily, that was only a 50K, not a 50 miler. So let's talk about race day strategy. Race day strategy, the thing that I like to do, which has served me well for any race from a 50K to a 100 miler. And especially if you are a little bit competitive. But knowing, if you're going out there for a time goal, this really doesn't apply for you. If you're going out there for a time goal, just hit your splits that you've been training for. Just, you know your fitness level by now, and just concentrate on that. But this race strategy is for the person who's out there for the adventure, for the fun of it, who really doesn't care where they finish, what their ultra sign up percentage looks like, or is using this as a stepping stone to a bigger goal. A lot of people like to use a 50 miler just as a confidence builder moving into a 100K or 100 miler. So again, if you're using this as a stepping stone to a bigger goal, or you're just out there for the fun of it, this is the strategy that I use for my races. As I start dead last, as far back as I can. It does two things. One, it slows me down. It keeps you away from that front mid pack, or that those faster guys who are out there going after time. Because it's easy to get caught up with them, because you feel super fresh, because you're just coming off your taper, you're ready to run, you're excited, and even though you have a race day goal of staying in an RPE 2.3, that it's easy to get into a 4.5 right off the bat. And on a 50 miler, that could be like very, very like destructive. You can blow up super fast. Like around the marathon mark, and then you still got half the race to go. So again, I like to start dead last. What this does, especially if you have a single track start or a big climb ahead of you, which a lot of races do, that you're in the back behind all the slow people. And if you are, one of the slower runners, then you're definitely not going to get pushed to go faster. So another thing that it does is, during the race, is it helps me just build confidence, because I know that eventually I'm going to start passing people. And when they start getting tired, I'm going to start passing more and more people, because I reserve myself. And I really don't start running a 50 miler until mile 30, until I pass a 50K mark. And the last 20 miles, because I've held myself back so much during the first, more than half the race, that now I'm able to start running and start getting after hill climbs and really tracking down. And every person that I pass is just another confidence boost that I pace this race correctly. They're on the verge of blowing up or blowing up and not feeling good. When also starting slower, it helps me stay on top of my nutrition and my hydration. So especially if it's a warm race, if you're like in the South, or where it's super humid, or out where I live out west in the summertime and it gets really hot, that as the temperature rises, it gets harder to eat. So I've noticed that as my heart rate stays slow, as I stay calm through the back of the pack and just slowly, steadily just picking my way through, that I'm able to stay on top of my nutrition, my hydration. It keeps my mood better. And then I'm able to crush the last, like, third of the race. So again, like, if you haven't tried this strategy, try it. Let me know how it works. And then I hope to see you on the 100K or 100-mile training plan. And we'll see you there. Again, if you haven't downloaded this, if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't have this, click the link in the bottom below. Click the link below, or go to myendurancelife.com and click on the button that says trail training guides or training guides. It's going to work. It's just, they're awesome. Talk to you guys soon.